Welcome to another daily dose of the Bible. Still in Matthew. It's towards the end. We're on chapter 25. Just to review, 24 was about Jesus foretold the future. He's been talking a lot about, I'm going to have to leave you, and, I'm going to die, and in 3 days tear down the temple, and then in 3 days rebuild it again. That's, he's using himself as the temple and saying, look out, guys, it's coming. Don't worry, I'm going to be with you. But the foretelling of the future, that's kind of it's a chapter where he's talking about, the sun's going to darken, and woe to you. I hope you're not pregnant in that time or nursing, and for the old folks, and pray that it's not in winter. Just talking about destruction that could come to the world at any time. He doesn't even know when God's going to decide that that's enough. Enough is enough. But he's gone to prepare heaven for us now, and he's telling the disciples and us, it's really for us, because obviously it didn't happen in the disciples' time, and in all the future generations. Look out for this. It's the birth pains of the end of the world. And I do think and almost hope, I'm excited for, that end time when Jesus takes us all to him, and, there's no more sorrow, no more pain, and we're all just basking in his glory forever. I'm so excited for that day. Not that I don't love life here, but, this chapter is explaining, chapter 24 was talking about a lot of things, that wars and rumors of war and all around us. It just reminds me of today very, very much. So, I'm excited that we could be the end generation, that I might see Christ coming through the clouds, and the trumpet will sound. That's very exciting, but I'm not overly excited about that. Okay, so Matthew 25 is going to start with the parable of the 10 bridesmaids. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 bridesmaids who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. The 5 who were foolish didn't take enough olive oil for their lamps, but the other 5 were wise enough to take the extra oil. When the bridesmaid groom was delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight they were roused by the shout, "Look, the bridegroom is coming! Come out and meet him!" All the bridegrooms got up and prepared their lamps. Then the 5 foolish ones asked the others, "Please give us some of your oil, because our oil lamps are going out." But the others replied, "We don't have enough for all of us. Go to a shop and buy some for yourselves." But while they were gone to buy oil, the bridegroom came. Then those who were ready went with him to the marriage feast, and the door was locked. Later the other 5 bridesmaids returned. They stood outside calling, "Lord, Lord, open the door for us." But he called back, "Believe me, I don't know you. So you too must keep watch, for you do not know the day or the hour of my return." And that's just some people think, gosh, I have until the end of my life. I have years. I'm only 25, 45, 60. I have so many years left, and I'm going to just live, I don't need to devote myself to him right now, or whatever. This is a warning. It's really a warning, and don't be caught without oil in your lamp, Keep that light shining, and don't let it go out. No matter what the circumstances, there's always fresh oil that he will, he'll anoint you with more oil every day and keep your light burning. Do not let it go out. Do not be caught out at the store trying to get more oil when he comes back. Keep the faith. Keep your heart devoted to him. Keep in the Bible, and you won't be caught out in the dark knocking on the door, "Please let me in." That's not somewhere you can come back from. So you don't want to be out in the dark. The parable of the 3 servants. Again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by this story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money with them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 1 bag of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. He then left on his trip. The servant who received 5 bags of silver began to invest the money and earned 5 more. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid the master's money. After a long time, their master returned from this trip and called them to give account of how they had used his money. The servant to whom he had entrusted 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more and said, "Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more." The master was full of praise. "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount of money. So now I will give you more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." The servant who had received 2 bags of silver came forward and said, "Master, you gave me 2 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 2 more." The master said, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You will know you've been faithful handling this money, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." Then the servant with the 1 bag of silver came and said, "Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops where you did not plant, and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid to lose your money, so I hid it in the earth." Mosquitoes. "Look, here's your money back." But the master replied, "You wicked and lazy servant. If you knew I harvested crops where I didn't plant and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have had some interest on it." Then he ordered, "Take the money from this servant and give it to the one with 10 bags of silver. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who do nothing, even what they have will be taken away. Now throw this useless servant into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." So, I think that's a parable saying, he's given us all abilities in accordance to what we can handle. And, you know, the servants who go out and invest and do a good job and bring back a lot of a reward for their master, and, you know, double his money basically. Of course he's going to be happy about that. He rewards them and gives them more, and that is what Jesus is saying. Well, this is the kingdom of heaven. You know, it's a parable of how God treats us. So in the kingdom of heaven, if you use what you've been given and you share and you care and you, whatever talents he's given you, singing or building or mathematical computations, whatever it might be, you use that for his glory, he will reward you and he will give you more. But if you take what your natural abilities are and you stifle them and you live in sadness and sorrow over, you know, oh, I wish I had this and that talent, and I only got this 1 talent, and they got 5. I'm going to just keep mine because what, you know, being fearful that you're going to be shown up or whatever using this talent that he gave you. And basically it's saying, if you use what you have, he'll give you more. And if you don't, you're wasting this talent that he gave you. You're wasting this money and just letting it sit in a hole. Dug a hole to sit in it. And that's not right, and that's not what he wants for us. He wants us to share and care and love and use our talents in this world to make other people's worlds better, to show them the light, you know. And you're not showing any light if you're putting it in a hole. So just take whatever you have and give it to him and use it for him, and he'll give you more. That's the kingdom of heaven. That's the rewards that you should be seeking, is his pleasure and honor and glory to bring more to God. And that's what these servants did, was, you know, they brought their master more money, which is more honor and glory, you know. But in the kingdom of heaven, we're talking about, you know, different currency. We're talking about love and sharing and yourself, your time, your heart, your abilities to help others. Don't stifle that. Don't hide it away, because that's what we need. Everybody needs you. Everybody needs what God gave you. Okay, so this last portion of Matthew 25 is called the final judgment. But when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit upon his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered in his presence, and he will separate the people as a shepherd separates sheep from goats. He will place the sheep at his right hand, and the goats at his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you are blessed by my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your home. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you cared for me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then these righteous ones reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink, or a stranger and show you hospitality, or naked and give you clothing? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will say, "I tell you the truth, when you did it to one of these least of these, my brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me." Then the king will turn to those on the left and say, "Away with you, you cursed ones, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his demons. For I was hungry, and you didn't feed me. I was thirsty, and you didn't give me a drink. I was a stranger, and you didn't invite me into your home. I was naked, and you didn't clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me." Then they will reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and not help you?" And he will answer, "I tell you the truth. When you refuse to help the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you are refusing to help me." And they will go away into the eternal punishment, and the righteous will be given eternal life. So that kind of, it's talking about, you know, using your talents and what he gave you to help others, because, you know, if you do to the least of these, in other words, you know, a homeless person might be the person you think of as the least of these, but we're all needy. We're all in need of some help of some sort, and whatever you have that he gave you, there's someone out there who needs it, and you just have to put it out. Just put it out. Let it splash over in whatever you have. You know, maybe you are full of sadness, and you have a difficult life. You have a sad story. You have heartbreak and heartache, and maybe that's all that you have within you right now. But through sharing that, and I found, you know, at those times myself, when you share that, maybe with a spouse, with a loved one, with your pastor, your neighbor, it can uplift them to maybe help you through the situation. Maybe they have the words that you need to hear, and maybe you're saying the words that they need to understand. You know, maybe through the process of working it out in the kingdom of God, through caring and sharing love, maybe through that your sadness will be lifted. That's what Jesus intends for you, to give it to him and not think about this temporal world where everything's it's all gonna go away. You know, you can't take your house and put it in the ground with you. You can't take your car. You can't take your money. You can't take your vacations. None of these things, you know. Just pray that you'll see the true devotion that he asks of you, that you won't be afraid to just spread that talent, that gift, whatever it is. Or maybe it's painting sidewalks. Maybe it's, you know, maybe you're really great at tying knots. Well, there's somewhere for you. There's a ministry that God intends for your life. He wants you to share it and let other people know and be inspired by you. And I hope that this will just settle on your heart, and you'll be just so excited to see what he has more for you. When you give, he will give you more in return. Thank you.